Today, our state stands at the forefront of our nation. Our unemployment rate has been substantially below the national average for 42 consecutive months.
Can you return the application?
But the miracle is not all it seems to be.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Have a nice day.
People who count those jobs and who say Milwaukee's doing great or Wisconsin's doing great, look at all the new jobs we have, they don't ask what kind of jobs are they. They don't ask, can you make a living on that job? Can you support a family on that job?
Minimum wage will not pay the bills. If you figure it out, you gas, electric, telephone bill, plus food for a family. If you got a rent or a mortgage, it don't matter. It's still money. You figure it out, minimum wage will not make it.
Milwaukee today is often held as a model of how the nation must retool to compete in a global economy. But in Milwaukee, as in America, we are creating a workforce which can barely afford to buy the goods and services it produces.
Have any savings, anything in the bank?
No, nothing at all.
What do you got in your pocket right now?
Nothing. Not a penny.
But you're working.
Mm-hmm.
And you have nothing.
Nothing, right. Not until I can get a better job, a better paying job.
For more than a decade, changes in the global and domestic economies have lowered real wages, creating what some have called a silent depression. Even in Milwaukee, a city the nation looks to as a model of the new economy, Americans are dividing into two groups. One that works for a living and makes it, and one that works for a living and can't make it. It's a division that threatens to leave hardworking people permanently poor.
Yeah, this is home.
For how long?
Well, I've been here for about a year. And, of course, this is the only place I really can afford.
What do you pay for it?
And I pay $210 a month. And, of course, everything's included except for telephone.
Yeah.
And,
This it?
yeah, this
down
is
the
it.
stairs?
Yeah, it's down the stairs. You gotta go through the washroom and to your left.
Steve Laren is 38. He's been laid off for over 2 years, one of 43,000 in Milwaukee who lost a good manufacturing job in the 1980s.
Like I say, yeah.
What kind of place did you have?
Oh, I had a two-bedroom apartment up on the northwest side of town, and it was really nice. I mean, it was a nice neighborhood, nice green lawns, low crime rate. Just everything about it was nice, but of course those apartments go for about $425 to $500 a month. Of course, way out of my price range at this time. Couldn't afford to live there anymore, so I had to, of course, move out.
Years ago, if you wanted a small engine, you got a Briggs Stratton.
Steve was laid off from the Briggs Stratton Corporation. The division where he worked was moved to Mexico, where workers earn in 1 day what Milwaukee workers earn in 1 hour.
I thought I had a future with this company. I thought that it was going to be here in the state because it has been here for such a long time. I thought I could maybe retire from here someday.
Briggs Stratton is the largest private employer in the Milwaukee area. It's a company that has been moving work away from Milwaukee, moving work to Missouri to a new plant, moving work to Juarez, Mexico to plants that it's built there. Some of those moves were accompanied by some very long and loud fights with its union.
At a membership meeting, workers rejected a company request for concessions.
They were asking for outrageous things, I think. We worked for 6 years without pay increase. There's no reason why we could have to keep conceding.
Throughout the 80s, local news reports told of job flight and layoffs. Briggs Stratton alone has moved 2,000 jobs out of Milwaukee.
They're making it too easy to take these jobs and move them out totally. Overseas, down south, Mexico, China, Korea, and taking all the good paying jobs with them.
What about the argument that, well, that's just the way it has to work because we have to let people overseas do what they can do to lower the price, and here we have to readjust. It's just a water finding its own level.
Well, what I have to say about that is that, okay, have those, well, if they have to do that, and they're going to have those people produce those products at those wages, and then take away American jobs, okay? And where are they going to sell those products that they do produce overseas? I mean, we're not going to be able to afford to buy them. I can't afford it, not at $4.50 an hour.
Steve is typical of Americans who've been forced to leave factory work for service jobs.
I'm working as a security guard. First time in my life that I thought I'd have to actually work as a security guard, rent a cop. Of course, I'm getting $4.50 an hour, which is just a quarter more than minimum wage.
Like 1/3 of all new jobs being created today, Steve's pays poverty-level wages with no benefits.
And sometimes I even have to pick up side jobs just to feed myself, because the prices of everything, as you know, keep going up and up and up.
What were you making at Briggs Stratton when you were laid off?
Well, I was making $12 an hour.
So you're working for about 1/3 now.
Oh, yeah, right, exactly. And it's rough. This is a check for 2 weeks' pay for 28 hours. And total pay was $127. Of course, after deductions is $96.79.
Because Steve works for a company that provides security guards for many different businesses, he can never be sure exactly where he's going to work or how many hours he'll get per week.
The situation in Milwaukee is really very similar to what it is in most of the country.
Ellen Bravo is executive director of the Milwaukee chapter of 9 to 5, a national organization that researches trends in the workplace.
There was a conscious decision on the part of many business leaders back in the mid-70s when the United States first started facing a lot of competition to cheapen the workforce, that the way they would stay competitive was by lowering costs. And really a lot that meant labor costs. It meant investing overseas if they could get it. It meant making jobs part-time and temporary, getting rid of benefits, lowering wages, keeping the minimum wage low.
This is a good-looking resume. Well organized, well printed, pretty good skills you got to have there.
Well, yeah, I do.
Machining of auto locks and keys, electroplating metal services, plating line programming, routing, readouts, forklift operation, plastic injection molding machine, drill press, punch press, machine parts and blueprints.
Like I say, there's no such thing as being overqualified for any job.
Yo, is Ed around? Dick Walters sent me. The office? I'm supposed to speak to Ed?
Steve spends his free time trying hard to get a better job. He's put in applications all over town.
When do you expect them? Probably Monday. Monday? Yeah.
He keeps lists of factories and construction sites, calling and visiting them often to see if there's any work.
Site foreman? Right now?
The only ones on the site right now are the Chrysler representative.
I see. Okay, thanks a lot.
What's been the hardest part? What's been your lowest moment over the last year?
Well, when I haven't had enough to eat, when I had to actually go to, well, it's called an outreach program, and I've had to go and go in and actually ask somebody for food. Okay, and that's been the most embarrassing, dehumanizing part of this whole episode is going in and actually asking somebody for a handout.
This program is brought to you by the Nay Stock Report and the Nay Mutual Fund Report.
I'm kind of happy that I didn't start a family, and I don't have one now, and of course I'm not planning on starting a family. Because like I say, what could I offer them, even if I did? I'm not even sure if I could feed them.
In the new economy, unions no longer just fight for benefits and higher wages. Nowadays, they often try to help members who've been laid off find any kind of job at all.
Now, this job you might want to look at, but it's still a low-wage start, and it doesn't indicate for sure whether or not you would get benefits. Now, his job's dead end. It's just dead end. And I think most people that take those jobs view them as dead end. Security guard jobs, a lot of times you can do those on third shift. Make $5 an hour and then work another first shift, try to be a handyman or do a little construction work on the side or whatever, but that's a tremendously hard life. And what that means, if you do those two things, you don't have time to do job search. You don't have time to do much of anything. You just barely have time to, to put your clothes on in the morning and take them off at night to go to bed.
I wish I could do something. In other words, if I knew, if there was any kind of hope left, knowing that I could go and get another job like I had before, if there's even a chance. I wouldn't be feeling as depressed, angry, and I don't know.
Briggs Stratton is a company that was founded in Milwaukee, goes back to the beginning of the century. It's headed by Fred Stratton. Fred Stratton is a man who's played a leading role in many of the civic organizations in town, and that has also caused him some public relations problems because people will look at him and say, Fred Stratton, you're chairing this committee and you're chairing that committee, and you're taking a lead, supposedly, in improving Milwaukee at the same time that you're sending thousands of jobs out of the Milwaukee area.
Fred Stratton refused an on-camera interview. A company spokesman said, quote, "We are trying to get the unions to understand that the world is changing. Companies can no longer afford to pay high wages for unskilled labor."
A company like Briggs & Stratton, along with some of the other giant manufacturers, these were places where a person could be guaranteed of getting a good job right after high school that allowed people to have the dream working class life. That worked for decades.
I lost my job over at Briggs & Stratton. I was laid off a little over a year ago. I'm trying to make ends meet and trying to find another job. What? Sort of goes like this.
Here and here. See them raggedy edges? Yep. The other one has to get turned around.
This one?
Yeah, okay. We gotta drill a hole. How big of a hole do you want?
Not that big.
Not that big?
That big.
About that one?
I've already gone into machine shops where they said I've been overqualified. Well, I've been at Briggs and I've been at these other factories and I have made $10 or more an hour, and they're not willing to pay that kind of a wage. They're willing to pay me $6 and a quarter. Little do they know, I need to live also.
I was telling people that this is our second time around. He has lost a job before because they moved out of state, and we were looking for buying a house before. Well, now he gets into Briggs and we think, oh, this is a good company, we can buy a house. And now we're in worse condition as we were the first time because now we have the house, we have more bills, you know. But it's either rent for the rest of your life or own, and we prefer to own. I mean,
that's supposed to be the American
that's
dream.
That's supposed to be the American dream.
House,
well, where is
job.
it? Where is it?
Are you gonna call him back?
You're gonna call him back? Yeah, I'm gonna have to call him
You talked to him before.
back. Yeah.
I told them I don't care if they want to foreclose, they can foreclose. If we don't have the money, we don't have the money. I would prefer you to call him other than me.
Here we go.
Mr. Carl is the same guy who I talked to before.
How much is your mortgage a month?
It's like 820.
819.
Yeah, 820 or something like
Have you
that.
been able to make all the payments?
No, we're behind. I did send a $1,000 check in a few weeks back, but the check was sent back to me with a letter stating we will not accept a partial payment. And when I tried to explain that over the phone when somebody called, I don't really think of that as a partial payment. I think of that as a basic payment and a good gesture on trying to get caught up. And it really upset me that, you know, this check was sent back and they wouldn't accept that.
Terry Newman is 28 and her husband Tony is 30. Theirs is the first post-war generation of Americans expected to do worse financially than their parents.
Trying to buy a little time so we can get on our feet again, you know, so we can get caught up. I would think that this is just going to be a temporary thing, not a permanent thing, and I really don't want to lose my house. Or are you just trying to tell me that you have to foreclose on the house if I don't have that full amount? 1193. And if I don't have the 1193, then they're going to foreclose. You would recommend it.
Is he putting this on paper? I want to know, is he putting this on paper? Dear?
After losing his job as a die-cast operator at Briggs, Tony enrolled full-time at a local technical college for retraining. A year later, he was certified as a pneumatics and hydraulics technician with perfect scores. But when he applied at factories, he was told he was overqualified or there were simply no jobs. So he lowered his expectations.
I've applied over at grocery stores, hardware stores, there's
McDonald's,
Hardee's,
Kohl's,
Super America, Pizza Hut, Walmart, Sam's.
200 applications later, Tony had not one offer for more than $6 an hour.
My aunt just recently bought this house and I'm helping her fix it up. She pays me $5 an hour for doing odds and ends around here. I really would like to do this for other people and get paid more for it. She is just willing to do this just to help me and Terry out because she knows I'm having such a hard time, which is really nice considering she's my aunt.
Are you working?
No, well, I'm doing New Skin, selling
What?
New Skin.
Oh, the
It's called New
door-to-door?
Skin International for personal care products. And one of these. And then you need a business card to call Mommy up. And
Terry
looking for
borrowed
a fan now?
$1,300 from a relative to invest in beauty products. If she sells
There you
them,
go.
she makes a modest profit. If she doesn't, she takes the loss.
Okay.
People think, give me a chance. And if it's just up to me and my hard work and my initiative, I'll make it. I'll be okay. Well, the problem is, unlike other entrepreneurs, they don't have any capital, and they don't have a marketing plan, and they don't have help.
I feel our products are very reasonable because you are getting a very good product. There's a lot of healthy ingredients that have been proven to be healthy for your body.
They have these dreams that they'll be able to make a lot of money, but it's not real because the people that they're selling to on the whole, who are they? They're their friends. They have the same amount of money they do. They can't afford to buy a lot of these products, or they buy them once. They're not going to buy them again the next day. So their arena that they can sell to is limited.
Like that?
Oh. Here.
Ew. Water.
Oh, water. Oh, what happened to his ear? What, he wants to go back in his house? He doesn't like all you kids.
He don't have
He's
no
yelling. Oh,
Come here.
can you reach that high? Or you want me to do it?
I want to hold him all the way over.
Okay, you can hold him all the way over
Come
there.
on. Come here.
They've made comments to like, Mom, let's sell the bookshelf. They've got little baseball cards. Mom, I'll sell these. And that hurts. Because they're willing to sell their baseball cards to help their parents out.
Okay, let him go in there. Oh.
I just explained to him it's really hard right now, and Dad's not working right now, Mom's not really working right now, and we don't have the money to do the things that you want to do right now.
On Wednesdays, the Milwaukee Zoo is free. It's one of the few places Terry can still take her kids for fun.
Hey, Mommy, look at me. I'm holding a go.
When Tony had a job, it was a little different because we could do the things that we enjoyed. You know, but now that the money's not there, and that's another reason why I explained to him why he may be feeling tense, because we used to go for picnics, invite people over for dinner, you know, entertain a little bit, grill out on the grill, or go to a movie, to a restaurant, just the two of us, and now we can't afford it, you know, so we sacrifice our own, you know, for the kids, because they do need it, and they don't understand half the time what's going on.
You can't buy anything here. You don't have enough money.
Which you are about to receive, for they bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
A little bit or a lot?
Little bit. Same.
Normally, I make good meals. The meat and the vegetables and salads and all the fixings. You know, it's not a large amount, but they're good, well-balanced meals. And now that I can't make well-balanced meals, I mean, it gets to the point where you sit there and think, oh, God, what am I going to make for dinner tonight? You know, and it's just emotionally exhausting.
Sure would be good on this.
Cheese. Oh, well, I have cheese. So would garlic bread, too.
No baby food, macaroni, definitely. Cheese. Okay. Peaches and pears we need. Yogurt.
Today, 10% of all Americans receive food assistance from the government, the highest rate on record. In Milwaukee, religious groups and relief agencies report that emergency requests for food have nearly doubled in the last 5 years.
It really bothers us that we have to depend on other people. I just want to get up and do what I have to do. Just go in the car and go grocery shopping and have a normal life again.
Holding in there okay?
Mm-hmm. So I have to go to food pantries. I don't know if they're government funded or what.
People
but
donate
they donate
food. People who are doing better off than others donate food to, like, say, churches or synagogues.
You get the peanut butter and the honey.
I don't like having to go and ask and say I have no food in the house or something. Can you help me out? Where when you would go and work and get a paycheck and come home and support yourself.
Then you would be giving this food to other people.
You know, through church, we pick up food and drop it off at church. Well, now, shoes on the other foot. Makes me feel very uncomfortable. I'd rather be on the giving side than the receiving.
I don't know if you're going to be using all of these or not, Terry. They have peanut butter, flour. You can take what you like.
I do a lot of baking, and the kids eat a lot of peanut butter.
And we have some pork here. I understand that if you put it over noodles or rice and maybe add a little onion, that it's quite palatable.
Come on, you lousy coward. Come out and take your medicine. Come on. This is going to be your Waterloo, your Alamo, your... Just kidding, big guy.
Biggest baby in the world. What are you doing today?
Fixing the doors.
The
screens.
In the kitchen door?
Yeah, I'll think about it. I've been getting very angry lately. I've been losing my temper quite a bit. I don't know what it is. I tried to get it under control, but it's just really frustrating. You got all of these pressures on you, and you don't have no way to release it, really.
How do you deal with this pressure, the anger, the
I can't. It's very difficult.
Yeah, our marriage is really on the rocks. This is a really difficult time. This is a real difficult time. I've been thinking about a divorce now for a while.
Why?
I can't deal with the situation. I'm just having a real hard time dealing with it.
So divorce is an easier way out?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm really at a loss.
You feel guilty?
Yeah, I do. I feel I should be supporting my family.
You think he really wants a divorce, or is this just an escape?
I think it's an escape, and I just think he figures it's an easy way out. But really, the problems are still going to be there because he's still going to have to support us, and I feel it's going to be worse. I just feel it's just a tough time, and if we can just get through this, you know, then we'll be back to the life that we had before.
Good morning, everybody. We gather on this Sunday morning in faith to praise our triune God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
In Milwaukee, working is a way of living. Milwaukee gives the world work gloves and wheelbarrows, outboards and motorcycles, nuts and bolts and beer. Nothing fancy, just the best. So when Miller time rolls around tonight, we raise a glass to you, Milwaukee. You've earned it.
Words cannot describe it adequately. 15 to 20,000 unemployed men and women jammed State Fair Park in the bitter cold. All waited for hours for the chance at 150 to 200 welding and production line jobs.
In the 80s, when so many manufacturing jobs, 85,000 manufacturing jobs were lost in Wisconsin, there was the expectation that new jobs would be created, that people wouldn't remain unemployed for long periods of time, that we wouldn't have another depression because there were these other growth industries.
Milwaukee's miracle was a shiny new downtown, home to financial services, light manufacturing, shopping malls, and tourism. Today, the region's unemployment rate is at an all-time low. But unemployment statistics can be misleading.
It used to be that unemployment was a statistic that told us about the health of an economy. I think that's not true anymore. So many of the jobs that go behind the unemployment statistic are jobs that don't pay living wages. Income is a more important measure of the health of an economy. In Milwaukee, the average income has fallen compared to the rest of the nation. In the decade of the 1980s, the per capita income in Wisconsin has fallen 6%. That's what globalism brought home to Wisconsin. Companies that learn new ways of conducting their business, smarter ways, and were able to do it with fewer people paying them less wages.
All over Milwaukee, we've talked to people who say they look for jobs and they can't find jobs. That if they do find jobs, they find jobs that pay $4.55, $5.50 an hour. They cannot support a family on that.
Sure.
What about that?
People who don't have skills are not very attractive in this workplace. And that's a harsh reality.
But what happens to them in this new world order?
Clearly, as a nation, if we increase our total wealth, we have an ability to help some of these people through services, providing medical care, other things that they need that maybe they can't earn on their own. To the extent that we, as a nation, don't do as well, these people are even worse shape.
Applied Power is a global manufacturing company that employs 3,000 people worldwide, 500 in Milwaukee. Its jobs are non-union and pay $8 to $10 an hour.
Can they support a family on $8 an hour? Yeah, you can. I don't think that's the issue. Of course you can. If you make $8 an hour in the United States and compare yourself to someone in Korea, you're a king. But that's not the way Americans want to compare themselves or should compare themselves. They're comparing themselves to their mothers and fathers and saying, hey, I want to do better. That's the aspiration we have to meet. So we got to restructure our society around other types of technologies, other industries.
And lower the standard of living. That's what's happened.
I would agree. Yeah, that's what's happened. It's a very mute point. And it's
not to the guy making $8.
I think the people feel that way. There's no question.
Right.
It's real from that point of view.
Dick Sim acknowledges that the jobs at Applied Power don't pay the high wages manufacturing jobs used to pay in Milwaukee. He says it's going to take a national effort to recover that prosperity.
We got to increase the rate of productivity improvement in this country. If we can do that. But let me give you a challenge. If we were to say to everyone in America, the president goes on TV and he says, okay, next week we're going to have an experiment. I want everyone in America to produce 10% more next week. And if even half the people responded, it would be awesome.
But if the president did that next week, wouldn't you buy another computer, not hire 2 more men?
We'd do both. We'd do one of both. We'd probably buy 3 computers and hire 1 guy. But that's the way it's got to be. You can't defy these laws of economics, because these are like the laws of physics. They apply to the Japanese, they apply to the West Germans, they apply to us. We cannot make our own rules in terms of the realities of the market.
The market system that we have has no method for providing for any coordinated growth and prosperity. And so individual companies are able to find their path to prosperity, benefiting their particular employees at the same time leaving masses of people behind.
It freaked me out when Mom said, your dad's been laid off. And I was like, nah, Dad wasn't laid off. And I started thinking, at the time I was going to a private school, and I'm sitting there going, please, my dad not laid off. Found out Dad was laid off. He took this lower paying job, and then Mom had the load on her. Then Mom got laid off. The income just went poof. I don't think any other family probably could survive. Our family is fortunate. Keith is up under me. He's 14 years old. Claudel and Claude is a set of twins. They're 11 years old, and my little sister, Omega, is 10. My father's been laid off for 5 years. He went into waterproofing. My mother, she got her real estate license.
See you later.
I'm proud of both of them. I'm not saying that my parents are failures. What I'm saying is that I'm scared to fall in their shoes. While I'm young, I want a degree. While I'm able to move about, I want to make something out of myself before it's too late, before I'm in my 30s and end up like them in a vicious circle.
When I got laid off at Babcock, they wanted me to go on down the welfare, but I could not stand in that line. I said, this is not me. This is not me. They wanted to give me food. I said, this ain't me. I don't want no food stamp. I said, I got my strength, my health. I will find me a job. And I found me a job.
The job Claude Stanley got pays $6.50 an hour. He used to make up to $19 an hour. Then he was laid off, first from Babcock and Wilcox, which shut down in Milwaukee, then A.O. Smith, which has set up 6 factories in Mexico.
A lot of guys tell me that they've got work, but they just can't make it on the minimum wage. The $4.55, $5.56.
They can make it, but they got to bring their living down. You know, it's you got to look at it on the real side. I cannot live like I was making $20 an hour. Bring a check home, $600 a week. Okay, you work Saturday or Sunday, something like that, you're making $800 a week. Okay, that money is not there, so you might well get in your mind, it's not there no more. So, okay, bring yourself down.
Are you all in danger of losing the house now?
I don't know.
We have fallen behind from time to time. Right now isn't a good time until the next few weeks. I have one of the biggest closings I've ever had. And I'm going to walk in and either pay the car off or pay the house up a year. And that's real estate. When it comes in like a ship. Hi, Joe. Yeah, this is Jacqueline Stanley from Homestead. Okay, I just got in and it says ASAP. What did that mean?
Jackie Stanley's deal fell through.
What does that mean?
Mom's real estate is tough on her. I've seen her try to will and deal deals. They seem so good, and at the last minute, they fall apart.
Tell her to please call me because we wrote this for, the listing is for September. It's already
That
October.
falling apart is our mortgage. That falling apart is the car notes. To someone else, it might not seem important that they decide not to buy the house. But for us, it's a matter of not life and death, but it's a matter of light and gas. And that's scary.
When the doors of Briggs closed on us and they handed us our pink slips, I knew that I'm out here. It's sink or swim.
Give me a call, okay?
When Jackie was a Briggs worker, she took home about $32,000 a year. In a good year, her family's combined income was well over $60,000 and included health benefits. That security is gone.
The reality is that it's rough. You have to sell yourself. Can I say real estate, you have to change clothes a lot. And you have to give that appearance of neat and clean. It's nice having you over today. And call me. Do you have my card? And I'm always smiling. In spite of electric bills, gas bills, telephones, they're due just like anybody else's. But I can't afford to say, oh, you know, I'm having a rough time. Please buy this house. No.
Selling real estate is another one of those jobs that people fall into when they've gotten laid off. And it's one of those things where you think if I just work hard enough and maybe I can make it and make enough money. But of course it's completely dependent on the overall economy and the housing market. People aren't making money, they don't have money to buy houses. So what happened to you affects what happens to your customers and their ability to make you able to sustain yourself and your family.
You're going to have to show me how to do this. This is not expired. I pulled it because they had it a long time ago last year listed. It was on the market for a year and didn't sell.
It's because they didn't have somebody as good as you.
Okay.
People of color really have a much more difficult time in our business making a living than white people. It may be a situation where she may call for a showing and not get the courtesy of a callback. Maybe her client that she takes into a mortgage lender has a much more difficult time, even if their credit is good, getting a mortgage.
All right, fax it to me. I can't sell suburbs. I can't sell the most affluent areas here. And that hurts. But they'll call me for Central City.
You gotta keep up with that.
The boys pulled together, I pulled together, my little sister, and we're trying to see how can we accumulate some money in the house. My little brothers started their own lawn care service. They cut grass, they do hedges, they do just about anything, and they get paid and help out around the house. They're called Three Sons Lawn Care Service.
How much money would you like to make when you grow up?
Probably about 100 million, something like that. 300 million, something like that.
Do you think you will?
Yeah. I seen my mom on the phone talking to the bill collectors, asking them when they would take the mortgage company, when they were about to take her house. She was pleading with the mortgage company. She asked the bill collectors to keep the light and sometimes the gas on. And that makes me want to do more, a lot more.
If I don't really know how the system works, but I wish that most of our companies like Briggs and Stratton and most of the American companies that was first here would have stayed here and helped. I think it was really money that made everybody move because it was low in Mexico. People work much less in Mexico and other places. And I wish they would have stayed here and realized what the problem was in America. Why was these companies leaving? Just because of money. And they forgot about all the little kids and the grown-ups that work real hard.
Nicole Stanley is a university freshman majoring in business finance. She plans a career in international banking. At times, her studies have been interrupted by illness.
Earlier today, I got a phone call from my daughter. Results came in from her thyroid. And they're not saying it's cancer. But what they're saying is the fact that they found more lymph nodes or whatever, something in her throat.
Nicole has been diagnosed with a benign cyst on her thyroid gland. Treatment has cost the family $600 they don't have. It will cost more if the condition persists and requires surgery.
Nicole's job has small insurance for her, and we didn't have any. Now that this is hit, I'm worrying. And I know I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to pray and believe God's going to work it out. But you could try going into an operating room and tell that to the surgeon.
Ten years ago, 75% of full-time workers had full health coverage. Today, less than half do.
Okay, está bien. Bueno, muchas gracias. Okay, you need to speak with the nurse.
Los Lopez's a este lado, por favor. Well, we're a community health center. We're a neighborhood clinic which services the people that live in the surrounding community. We see a large number of the working poor, people who have a job and make a low enough income that they can't afford to buy health insurance on their own.
1 o'clock.
Senor Victor, look at those eyes here. He's a good man. It's no problem for them to come to this clinic and be seen, but if they need referrals, they need hospitalization, they need other services that we cannot provide for them on site, you actually have to play the game of finding out where you can basically slip them in between the cracks to have them seen. 2 teeth so far. A lot of people who work are poor. I mean, the working poor, there's, 33 million people in the United States who don't have health insurance, and most of those are the working poor. Salud, senor.
There's plenty of jobs available out there if the people are trained to be able to assume them. And the biggest rap on anything going on today, when you talk to employers, is they can't find qualified workers.
Retraining. Many say it's the way to push the nation's workforce toward higher skilled, higher paying positions. The Milwaukee Area Technical College is training close to 80,000 people, many of whom hope to qualify for better jobs.
Actual patient care.
Retraining, of course, is important. What's the job at the other end? That's the problem. In most cases, job training means getting people into existing jobs, and many of those existing jobs are low paid.
Students in this class hope to get work in the medical field as health unit coordinators. In Milwaukee, they usually start out making $6.85 an hour. While some jobs do go unfilled because workers aren't trained for them, the real story in the Milwaukee region is that up to 60,000 people are competing for only 8,000 jobs.
One of the documents we're using is this crisis of working people in Milwaukee by the Social Development Commission, and it says, let me give you a quote right out of it, there simply are not enough jobs to provide employment for all those who are out of work. So if you retrain them, what are we retraining them for?
Well, at the same time we're retraining them, we have to do the same thing that I'm trying to do, and I think the city of Milwaukee is trying to do, and the county of Milwaukee is trying to do, is attract business into the inner city of Milwaukee.
Rosalind Alway was a nursing assistant, so she's used to working with her hands, but she never dreamed she'd be using them to do this. Rosalind is one of 15 workers who are now completing a special welding course at MATC so they can work for Steel Tech.
Steel Tech is a minority-owned company capitalized by government and private investors. In order to qualify for a military contract, Steel Tech had to agree to train local workers.
15 people began this training program, and all 15 will graduate on May 31st. Their commencement, perhaps unlike any other graduation that we will see this summer, will not only change their lives, but their community as well.
Steel Tech is the experimental project business leaders point to when asked about solutions to inner-city unemployment.
What's your ambition? How much do you want to make?
$21 an hour.
Oh, those jobs are gone.
But I figure, you know, the longer you stay here, the more you make. So I'm patient. I want to put in a lot of years here. You know, I come from a family of welders.
Oh, yeah?
They're there. So
this is your first welding job?
Yeah.
Was your father a welder?
Yeah.
How much did he make an hour?
$17 an hour.
17?
Yeah.
Think you'll ever make that welding again?
I think I'd make more.
Steel workers in Milwaukee traditionally started at around $10 an hour and made up to $20 an hour. The starting wage at Steel Tech is only $5.50. If the company does well, salaries are expected to increase, and some already have. But there's no guarantee work here will ever pay a family-supporting wage.
Outside of Steel Tech, for a black man, middle-aged like you, looking for work in Milwaukee, what are the opportunities?
I would say it's very bad because most of the jobs, most of the work are outside the city limits. And there's a lot of us who don't have transportation or, transportation problems. And then you have to compete with the next person that's looking for a job.
Unemployment in the black community remains exceedingly high, a rate 5 times that in the white community. Steel Tech, like every other program that's up and running now or that's even talked about for helping the unemployment problem in the city, it's a drop in the bucket. For example, in Milwaukee's black community right now, there's a need for at least 25,000 jobs. Steel Tech is going to hire 100. That means to meet the need, there have to be 250 Steel Techs.
PJ.
We got cleaners here, $4.50 an hour. Machinist, $5 an hour. Counter person, crossing guard. That'd be really interesting. They can't become a waitress. Different sex. In other words, it looks pretty bleak for the working man out there. The only thing I could suggest or advise is getting into top management?
I think I've learned a lot about the economy. They're cutting managers. All of a sudden, when I go to a job, it's not me and 10 people that are applying that are qualified. There's 500 people applying for the job. And there may be 100 people that are qualified.
Mike Washik is an information systems manager who was laid off from a nursing home chain when his department was consolidated. He spent the last 8 months looking for a new position.
I think that's another area where I feel the weakest on.
For many managers, the situation is becoming as painful as for blue-collar workers. While they make up only 5 to 8% of all workers, middle managers now account for 17% of all layoffs.
I feel bad. I feel some of that gets across to me. Hey, did I do a bad job? Even though I know myself, I accomplished a lot, I did a lot. I felt good about what I did, but because I didn't recognize this situation coming in my life, I didn't see the pre-clues, I feel bad. A lot of times you don't know that you're stepping a little too far on your aggressiveness because you really want the job. I mean, it's not something that you can wait a month or you can't have. You need that job. And the family, I think it was a support situation. Now it's not a support situation anymore. They're angry. They're my board of directors that are angry at my performance. Our savings on a very large $1,500 negative cash flow per month is going down, like quicksand. And my wife is working in a part-time job, and all she's doing is supplying the health care for the family. I mean, that's a lot. It's necessary. It's almost $300 a month, and she resents me. We looked at 50 houses, and it took us about 3 months, and we finally found this house, and we really liked it. And my wife liked it, and we decided to get the house. And it was a mortgage about twice the level of what we had before. Now we're at the point where we have to decide whether to cash in our IRAs or we let the mortgage default and hope that within 3 months I get a job.
Now we got the Boston store bill.
Holy cow, $129?
Well, that was from buying shoes, something for Julie.
Clothes for school.
Right. My mom will probably reimburse us for some of it, though.
That'd be nice.
Do you think we'll be able to send anything to Nancy this year?
I don't think so. I have to give her an IOU.
Well, maybe if you have a job by that time.
Well, I'm positive. Optimistic.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
No, maybe. Otherwise, it will be kind of a dreary Christmas.
I have a lot of skills. I'm a middle manager. I built these skills over 15, 16 years of effort. And I put in 50 hours a week and got paid for 40. And I did this consistently throughout my career. I mean, we're talking a big investment on my part, personally. And the company got a lot of benefits. And I said, I can go out, and even though there's a recession going, I can peddle my skills. And people are going to want me because I can solve problems. I have 2 daughters. One's 12 and one's 6. And they really enjoy their school. It took them a while to get used to moving, and we just moved about 1.5 years ago. And they're a little leery now. Now they're afraid they're going to lose all this. Oh, wow. You did all this arithmetic? Look at that.
And I got 100.
Oh, 100.
On every sheet, see?
100 on every
100,
sheet?
100, 100, 100.
Holy cow.
100.
It's been 8 months now that I've been looking for a job, and since I haven't found a job, and they realize this has gone a long time now, they're starting to think about the consequences of having to move. Now this is harder, it's in cents.
5.
1 cent plus 4 cents.
5 cents.
I had an opportunity earlier in my job search. It came early. It came at a time when I thought there'd be a lot more opportunities. In fact, I had a lot of opportunities going at the time. It was just one offer came from the Chicago area, which requires about 3 hours of travel back and forth every day. I liked the opportunity, but I told them no. And I told them no because I felt that there was a lot of other opportunities that from a family perspective were close to home, and I could have the quality family life and still have my career. So when I look back at it now, I say, boy, I blew it.
Recently, Mike began looking for jobs that pay well below what he had been earning.
Usually this job pays about $35,000 to $45,000. It's about 20, 25, 30% below what I was making before. I have 7 years of experience that has carried me beyond this job. In fact, I had 4 systems analysts working for me, and I had other managers working for me, and I had 12 programmers working for me. So when I look at this, it's hard to make a legitimate effort at this position, but I'm looking at it in terms of now I have to be realistic.
Eddie, Human Resources.
Bob, Engineering. Gary, Quality. Bob, Career Change.
As a nation, we are creating a disposable workforce where once we found the backbone of our economy.
Brad, Accounting, Finance.
Bruce, Engineering.
Roy, Marketing.
Don, Software Engineer.
Chuck, Manufacturing.
Bell, Graphic Design. Wayne, Marketing, Planning.
Mike, MIS Management.
Liz, Marketing.
You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own, you know what you know, and you are the guy who'll decide where to go.
Mike continues his full-time job search. He'll soon begin cashing in his family's retirement account.
Oh, the places you'll go. By Dr. Zeus.
Steve has been laid off from the security guard agency. He's out looking for work every day.
Wherever you fly, you'll be the best of the best. Wherever you go, you'll pass all the rest.
Tony finally found a job at $10 an hour. He doesn't even know if it will allow him to keep their home.
I'm sorry to say so, but sadly it's true that bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you.
Terry still needs to sell $1,100 worth of new skin products just to break even.
Just never forget to be dexterous and deft and never mix up your right foot from your left.
Jackie continues to sell Milwaukee real estate, where home prices in the inner city have declined considerably in recent years.
You'll come down from the lurch with an unpleasant bump, and the chances are then you'll be left in a slump. And when you're in a slump, you're not in for much fun because unslumping yourself is not easily done.
Today, making it in America means more family members working longer hours for less pay and fewer benefits. If the trend continues, it will change radically America's workforce and America's future. Economic progress will come to fewer and fewer of us. The divisions among us will grow, and millions will find that poverty and a paycheck go hand in hand. Our prosperity requires a workforce that can pay for its goods and services. Our society requires the simple justice that rewards hard work. As a nation, we face no problem more vexing than people who can't support themselves and families that barely survive, even when they're working hard.
There's somebody waits for me, sugar sweet, so is she. Bye, no one here can love or understand me. Oh, one hard luck story. Make my bed and light the
Funding for this program was provided by Mutual of America and its family of companies. The John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, a catalyst for change, and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. For a video cassette of minimum wages, call PBS Video at 1-800-328-PBS1 or send $29.95 plus $5 for shipping and handling to the address on your screen.
This is PBS.